that you are the most powerful being in the entire universe. Divine knowing that is encoded in your DNA. I truly believe that. You're not trying to get energy from something out there outside of you. You are literally allowing yourself to open and receive all of the energy that is your energy and that is here for you every moment.
How would you describe what that I is when we tune into the knowingness of who we truly are?
Your bodies are the greatest technology, the greatest biology on your planet at this time. If you would look at your own eyes in the mirror, if you would look at your incredible, magnificent human body and all of the millions of things that are occurring in every moment for you.
Hello, family. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to share with you something that I've been working on for a very long time. This isn't just another idea or experiment. It's something that I believe will change everything within this community. For months, I've been building something behind the scenes, something that I believe is missing at the core from everything that we do here. I can't say much yet, but if you've ever resonated with any of the conversations on this podcast and you feel like there's a deeper layer into all of this stuff, you need to be at my first ever live event. It's happening very soon, and I want you to be part of this very sacred moment. You can hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen right now, and I will see you inside. Enjoy the episode, and I'm excited for the evolution that we're co-creating together. Sara Landon, welcome on Just Tap In. What are you most excited about right now globally and in your life?
Awesome. So let's just start with the simple questions. I'm really so excited about what is going on in the world, contrary to what some people might think. I am so excited about life in general. I'm so excited for this conversation and every single perfect moment. There truly is more consciousness on this planet than ever before. There is more love on this planet than ever before. There's more abundance on this planet than ever before, more well-being on this planet than ever before, more freedom on this planet than ever before. And it is going to just continue to expand and expand and expand through people like you and your community and your guests and these conscious, sacred, divine conversations. So thank you for having me. And I really couldn't be more excited for all of this. So thank you.
It's such an honor to have you. And I was wondering to start as well, another easy question. What do you feel the collective needs to hear most right now at this time?
That you are the most powerful being in the entire universe. You are the most powerful being in the entire universe. There's no being out there more powerful than you. From my perspective, your power is love, and there's no being anywhere more powerful and more loving than you. Open your heart and let yourself be free to love and do what you love and be the love and know your own personal power. And to me, the word power is energy. Your power is your energy. Your energy is your power. And it's all your energy. You're not trying to get energy from something out there outside of you. You are literally allowing yourself to open and receive all of the energy that is your energy and that is here for you every moment. Your energy and your light will guide the way. Your energy is what creates and allows you to receive and experience the magic, the miracles, the grandest manifestations, true creation. Your energy is what heals and transforms and rejuvenates your body into well being. Money is energy, abundance is energy, and it's all your energy. It's your energy that summons your abundance and your experience of abundance and prosperity to you. It's all energy, and your energy is your power, and you are the most powerful being in all of the universe. And that power is love. That power is love. We are so privileged. I also think it's the greatest privilege to be on earth, especially at this time. And there's something so unique about being a conscious, loving being on earth at this time. And it gives me chills and it brings tears to my eyes. But I have this beautiful property with beautiful trees and flowers and cats and dog and horses. And to just look at how beautiful everything is and to bring your consciousness into the moment and love a tree and see its majesticness and feel its presence and its wisdom. You know, right before this, my cats were kind of laying around in my backyard and it's a beautiful sunny day and I'm just petting them and I'm like, okay, they like each other and they have fun and they love the land, but there's something about a human loving an animal that is so precious, a human loving another human. And maybe the most precious thing of all, a human loving itself. Because when you love yourself, you realize that the truth is there is only love. And all this love starts to reflect back to you and respond to you. And your life literally becomes so incredible and so amazing. In my work, we refer to dimensions of consciousness, and that we're at a time where you can choose your natural state of being, which is the fifth dimension of pure love. That's our natural state of being when we're not judging ourselves or others or circumstances and conditions. It's our natural state of being when we're not constantly trying to fix things and change things and heal things and release things and work on things, right? It's our natural state of being when we're not trying to work and struggle and effort to avoid unwanted circumstances. It's our natural state of being when we're not in fear. And it's really easy to notice if you are because fear is really heavy and love feels really light. And that's your natural state of being.
You've also been talking a lot about self-realization, and the way that you define that is when all aspects of the self are integrated, from our multidimensional self to our emotions to the physical, everything is integrated. When we move, or as we're moving into those states of awareness and dimensions of consciousness, what do you feel will be the role of a self-realized being in the times to come?
To live fully and to love fully and to be all that you are. And in my experience, myself and with my students, those who have focused themselves into that self realized state, when you actually live it, it's beyond your wildest dreams. It really is. Your life becomes so in the flow, so magical, so beautiful, so abundant. You can literally feel your body responding to integrating every part of you instead of rejecting some part of you. And you can literally feel every cell in your body start to respond and regenerate and rejuvenate. You can feel the energy in your body. Self realization, from my perspective, is why you're here, why everyone is here. And when you let go of everything you thought you were supposed to be or should be or needed to try to become to be, you find that you're whole and perfect and complete and you've always been. And yes, you're on this beautiful journey. I feel every day I learn and I grow and I expand. You're already perfect, whole, and complete, and you're expanding. And it's a beautiful thing. So, uh, to me, for example, I'll give you an example. Integrating every part of you also means not creating this, from my perspective, identity that you call an ego that you're trying to get rid of, because then you're creating separation. The third dimension is based on separation. And so the second you try to separate yourself and put the ego out there and judge it as wrong and bad, now all of a sudden you have lowered your consciousness, slowed your vibration. You're going to find yourself in the third dimension of fear and lack and limitation. And that's because you're rejecting and fighting against some part of you or judging some part of you. Integrate every part of you. There is wisdom in every part of you. There's wisdom in every part of you. That part of you that some people refer to as the ego, I tend to experience it more myself, like my inner child, like the little girl within me that doesn't know what I know, but she's still very wise. She's still very beautiful and wise. And yes, she may fear things that I don't, right? Or she may not be able to see something from the perspective that I do. And in some ways, that inner child part of you is so much wiser. She's like, go play, go have fun, go do what you love, right? So it's about integrating every part of you into your wholeness, into your completeness. And those things that aren't the truth of you, they just naturally fall away. They just naturally fall away. You start to see the beliefs that have created a particular way of thinking and acting in your life, and you can see them without judging them. And it's a really powerful practice to let your beliefs come to the light without judging them, without entangling with them, staying conscious and present and not going into the story, not going into where those beliefs came from, but seeing, oh my gosh, that's how powerful I am. I believed that, and my entire reality had to reflect that back to me. So, what if I believe this? Ooh, and that feels really good because that feels a lot lighter. Now you see even more expeditiously your whole reality responding back to this belief in your wholeness and your perfection and your completeness, and that there's nothing you could ever do here to become more worthy than you already are. You are infinitely worthy. You came here infinitely worthy, and there's nothing you can accomplish here. There's nothing you can do to become more infinitely worthy. And the same is also true. There's nothing that you could do here that would make you less infinitely worthy. And so you you create for the joy of creating. You play for the fun of playing. You love because you love it. You follow the energy, you let the light guide the way. You live this amazing, extraordinary life, not because you're trying to earn an effort in order to deserve to be worthy to have it. And really, that's our greatest contribution. Your life and how you live it, the level of consciousness you're in, the love that you are, being in a self-realized state is your greatest contribution to humanity at this time.
You started off that message saying that to be self-realized, part of it is to live fully. And that is one of the principles in your latest book, which is to live fully, but the other part is no permission needed. So I'm also asking myself, what do you mean we don't need a permission slip from a priest or someone outside of us to tell us that we can live fully? What are some ways that we can identify those moments when we're seeking out that permission slip from something outside of us in order to live the life to the fullest extent possible?
Well, I'll give you a really good tool, I guess you would say, or process or something to do, because sometimes our human brains like to do things. And again, it's not about judging that part of you. I love that my humanness likes to do things, right? The most powerful affirmation from my perspective to get into a self-realized state and to get to the place where you don't need anybody else's permission and you don't need to really explain anything is the affirmation, I know who I am. I know who I am. I know who I am. And I find myself all throughout the day saying those words either out loud or to myself in my head. I know who I am. And nothing needs to follow that. And it instantly gets me into that place of wholeness. And it instantly gets me into that place of I'm perfect, whole, and complete exactly as I am in this moment. There's this energy and this light that is my energy and light that's always guiding me. And when I'm in that I know who I am state and I'm out in nature or in the presence of others, you can literally feel your energy. You can feel the vibration you're in. And it's really powerful. It's really powerful. And notice if there is something that comes up when you say that. And I'm thinking of a particular student that has been with me for years, just this amazing divine being. And when we first brought that affirmation through, she kept hearing her dad's voice. And the voice she heard said she wasn't good enough. She wasn't smart enough or athletic enough or thin enough. She just kept hearing this voice. And it's okay to let that come to the light and realize that sometimes that's a story. I know I'll speak for myself personally. I became aware of the fact of something similar to me that came up about something someone said to me. And then I questioned it and I was like, okay, yes, I remember when that person said that to me. But that same person has told me probably no less than 1,000 times in my life how much they love me. And I remember the one time they criticized me. And so I started to focus on all the times they told me they loved me. And all of a sudden, the voice of the other thing just started to dissipate in the light. The more I focused on how many times this person actually has been supportive and loving to me. And so my friend Kyle Cease said this recently in a conversation we were having about these limited beliefs. And then you have these limitless beliefs like you are powerful and you are free and you are amazing and anything is possible for you and you are consciousness and light and love and it's why don't we sort of really take the time to talk ourselves into our truth versus trying to talk ourselves into our limitation, right? And I just loved how he said it. It was just really beautiful. And I started to play with that out loud. And one of the other practices that you can use if you have a thought going on about anything, right? All of our power is in the now moment. It's one of the success principles. All of our power is in the now moment. So when you're in your head and you're in a story about something that happened in the past, you're not in the now moment. You're not fully summoning all of your energy in this moment. You're in the past. And when you're focused on that story about what someone said or did, your body doesn't realize that that happened years ago. Your body is experiencing it as if you're saying it to yourself right now. The same is also true if you are warring with someone else outside of you in your head or a group of people. If you are in this moment arguing with someone in your head, your body doesn't know that that's not happening right now. It thinks there's an argument going on, there's a fight going on, there's a war going on within itself. The same thing is true if you start to think about the worst possible thing that can happen. Your body starts to think, oh, the worst possible thing is happening, right? So all of your power is in the now moment. And it may seem so simple, but one of the most powerful tools I have found is I literally start saying to myself out loud when I notice that I'm in a story, I'm in a loop, I'm spiraling down, I'm arguing with someone in my head, I'm upset about something. I just start saying, stop it, stop, stop, stop. And I say stop out loud, stop, 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 until it stops. And it will stop. I promise you, it'll stop. You may have to say it 20 times or 30 times. Just keep saying stop until the thought actually stops and the story stops. And then you'll find you're in the moment. And from there, start talking yourself into the story that you want to be experiencing. I am loved. I am appreciated. I am understood. I appreciate who I am. I love who I am. I know anything's possible for me. I know I wouldn't even have this dream in my heart if I didn't know that I wasn't here to live it. And I know that the dreams in my heart are placed there by my soul for the very purpose of my expansion and even greater joy. So not only do I think this is possible, I know it's possible because I know who I am. And you start talking yourself into your truth. And it works every time. If it's a relationship and you're upset with someone you're in a relationship with, or kids, or parents, or coworkers, stop and just keep saying stop until the thoughts stop. And then start talking yourself into, I'm here to do what I love. I'm here to do what brings me joy. I don't need anyone else's permission because I give myself permission to do what brings me joy, to do what I love. I know who I am. I'm here to do what I love. I'm excited about this and I'm excited about that and I'm excited about this. And I know there's this energy in this light that's guiding the way and I know it's all going to work out perfectly. Just start talking yourself. And I do it out loud. If you're in a place where you can't do that, you can do it in your head. But when you start doing this, you'll notice that you really quickly can stop yourself from getting entangled or upset or in judgment or fear. You can come into the moment where all your power is, and you can start talking yourself into a higher vibration, a higher frequency, a higher level of consciousness. And you will notice that you start to feel more energy in your body. And that's where inspiration comes from. That's where the inspired ideas come from. That's where the next perfect step comes from. And I literally did this the other day. I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed, like, oh, there's this project I really am excited about, but it started to feel really overwhelming. And I was going down a rabbit hole, so I just started saying, stop it. And I was driving my car, stop, 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 stop. And I went into, I know who I am. I know who I am. I know who I am. And I just said, show me the next perfect step. I know, I know the next perfect step is there. Show me the next perfect step. And then I just completely let it go. And like you said, how much magic can happen in 10 minutes when you let something go. Before we started this interview, we were talking about an example that Emilio had, but within 10 minutes, the next perfect step showed up, and it was so much better than I could have imagined.
Hmm.
And I think you can relate.
Yeah, it's almost like we can't imagine something when we're completely surrendered to that moment. And another of those success principles that you sort of wove into that example was you create your reality through focus. So if you're focusing on those higher aspects of consciousness rather than your limitations, that's what you're going to get more of. And it's interesting because when I hear the affirmation, I'm actually going to call it like a code because I feel like it unlocks something within you, the I know who I am. And when I say that over and over again, the I that is reflecting back to me isn't the I that I believe myself to be. It's another essence of I. So how would you describe what that I is when we tune into the knowingness of who we truly are?
Well, one of the things that I love about my work is I like to challenge the for example, the I am. It wasn't working for me. I I in theory I get it, but there was something missing for me in the I am presence. I know that's true. It's what you're talking about, but there's something more to it. And when I was like, let's go beyond I am, there's something more, right? And that's when I know who I am came through. And I agree with you. I think it is unlocking this code, this vibrational signature, this divine knowing that is encoded in your DNA. I truly believe that. And it's releasing that, opening you to that. The I am, you're not this body. You're having the most amazing privilege to be on earth at this time focused in a body. And it is your perceiving mechanism of how you interact and experience reality, but it's not all of who you are. We are a force field of consciousness. That's really what we are, a force field of consciousness that is infinite, eternal, ever present, omnipresent. And we're focused in physical form through our physical senses, what you hear, what you taste, what you touch, what you smell. What am I missing? What you hear, what you taste, what you touch, what you smell, what you feel, but you touch, but also what you think is a perceiving mechanism. So we think we are our thoughts. We think we are our beliefs. But I think we all know there's something so much more. And it's about feeling yourself into that. I don't think you can intellectualize yourself into it. I find that giving my brain some data and information and evidence, look, there's more. Like, for example, if I think of someone that I maybe haven't seen in years, and then within a few hours they call or text or send you a message, right? That's evidence to my brain that my body didn't somehow make that happen, right? There's something more. So I like to give my brain evidence, but to me it's about really feeling. And the quickest way I've found to get there is I know who I am. I know who I am. I know who I am. And that just connects me into the more. So, a couple of different success principles you talked about there. What you focus on and the meaning you give it is what's creating your reality. So, if there's a tree in your yard, or you're out walking in nature, or you're traveling, and all of a sudden you start to focus on a tree, and instead of just a tree, just like any other tree, you decide this is a sacred tree. This is the tree of life that was planted by the most enlightened being that ever walked this earth. And the seed of this tree was planted by the most enlightened person that ever walked the earth. And you just start to play with making this tree sacred and the bringer of wisdom and such a conscious, high vibrational tree. You can literally start to feel yourself moving into the energy of what you're focusing on and the meaning you're giving it. And you start to have that reality. And it's true with everything, right? What you focus on and the meaning you give it is what's creating your reality. And so if you can remember to be aware of what you're focused on, you start to realize that if you focus on more of what you want, you get more of what you want, which is another one of the success principles. So we're talking about the 15 success principles for my new book called The 15 Success Principles for Self-Realization. And one of the other ones is you don't get what you want. You don't get what you say you want. You don't get what you need. You don't get what you think you need. You get more of what you are. You get more of what you are. So as you feel into how abundant you are literally the frequency of abundance, and your energy takes on the frequency of abundance, and you receive and experience more abundance. If you focus on what a conscious divine being you are, you start to feel more and more consciousness coming through you, more of your own divinity coming through you. And so people sometimes say, isn't it really hard to focus on all this stuff and focus on what you're focused on and be aware and be conscious? And actually, it's so much easier to slow down, to come into the highest level of consciousness and vibration and frequency in the moment, to focus on love, to focus on joy, to focus on peace, and then take action and go about your day and follow the energy and let the light guide the way from there. It's actually so much easier. so much more harmonious, so much more fun. It's so much easier. It really is. And one of the other success principles, which is one of my favorite, is that consciousness summons energy into form. So the level of consciousness you're in is determining how much of your own energy you're either summoning, or as you lower your consciousness, your energy contracts. All the energy is there, but you're contracting your ability to receive your own energy. When you raise your consciousness, think about it. As you raise it, you expand. As you lower your consciousness, you contract. The level of your own energy you're summoning, receiving, allowing into your experience. And it's that energy, it's your light that is moving into form and creating your reality. And so it's all about consciousness. But one thing I want to say about consciousness is while there are lots of practices and things that are similar in people who are conscious, right? There are no rules to what a human has to do to be conscious,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you like doing yoga, great. If you like exercising or walking in nature, great. If you if you feel called at this time to eat only plant-based foods, then honor that and eat plant-based foods. If you're feeling called at this time to find some sustainable, humanely raised and processed form of animal protein that's supportive to your body at this time, then honor that. There's no right or wrong way to being conscious, but there is for you things that can support you in living more consciously more of the time. And only you know what that is for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all here. It's all here for you.
You said at the very beginning that we're at a level of consciousness that we've never seen before. And I feel like one of those practices for you is channeling. And when you go into that state, you're essentially becoming the field of consciousness to whatever group maybe you're tuning into. And I'm wondering if now, because the levels of consciousness are rising so fast, has there been a shift in the transmissions that are coming through you with the council, the group of beings that you channel? Has there been some sort of new octave of consciousness that they're wanting to bring through for humanity?
Oh, for sure. And I'll start by saying one of the most significant things that I've noticed is that I'm living and breathing and moving and being in a channeled state most all of the time. It's not about, oh, I have to get into the place of channeling the council. It's all the time, everywhere. It's this connection that I feel to everything and to all of me and the infinite intelligence that's here and the force field of consciousness that is when I intentionally channel the council and I close my eyes and I take a couple of deep breaths. The most significant thing that I notice is I have absolutely no questions. Everything is known. Everything is known. When I get into a channeled state, everything is known. And the council, I'm not going somewhere up there, out there to find something that's outside of me. I'm tuning in to all that I am, which is the wisdom of the council, and the wisdom of the council is me, right? And I have lots of students that have opened their own channels and are channeling in all sorts of amazing ways. And I have lots of students that verbally and through automatic writing channel the council. And they are a unique expression of that same consciousness in their own way, how it expresses through them. So it's all perfect. One of the things that I've noticed about the council's teachings is as more and more people are living these teachings and using these teachings to completely experience a life beyond their wildest dreams, what they talk about has changed. So years ago, They talked about how to transcend shame and how to get through unworthiness and how to love yourself, right? Because that's where probably I was, that's where the students of the work were at that time. And now I notice that, especially in my courses, which go deeper into the council's wisdom, and my master's class program, which, we meet every week and the council shares channel messages and answers questions. What I've noticed in those particular groups where students are really living the work, the messages are incredible. Recent ones are about owning your magnificence, choosing the highest timelines, witnessing the miraculous, your magnificent human body, realizing your divine prosperity. These are the types of things that they're talking about now, not about overcoming unworthiness, not about learning how to trust because you're in the state of, knowing versus can I really trust myself? Can I really trust this infinite intelligence, right? So I really do see the wisdom expand, but whatever you hear, wherever you come into the work, it's perfect. That's what you drew to you in that moment. So it's an amazing, amazing experience. I certainly never sought out to be a channel. That was probably the last thing on earth I ever wanted to do. But they said to me very early on, and it's really the essence of the book, The 15 Success Principles for Self-Realization. They said to me, one of their very earliest messages, if you will live this wisdom, you will have a life beyond your wildest dreams. And that's what I'm living as a result of living the wisdom. And that really is the most important part. You can constantly get all this information and all this information, all this information, but it's about living it. To me, the 15 success principles for self-realization is the manual for the human experience. It's the manual for the human experience. How to navigate the human experience with ease, peace, grace, harmony, love, fulfillment, meaning, purpose, joy, freedom, abundance, well-being, beauty, all of that.
Beautiful. It's so curious because when you were describing how the wisdom of the council is becoming expanded, it's almost like saying that the witnesser or the one witnessing, in this case a lot of it is you because it's you're channeling this information as you unlock newer layers of consciousness in that state of all being known. If everything's known, then the only thing that limits us from knowing everything is our questions and how we witness the wisdom and the information. What has been the most misunderstood piece of wisdom that that the council has asked you to embody?
Well, I think one of the things that people say a lot, so I raise my consciousness, raise my vibration, and everything's perfect. And they'll be like, but don't you see all these terrible things happening in the world? Don't you see all these awful things that are happening? Don't you see these horrible things? And I understand that. When I first started channeling the council, I would have these just incredible moments of being in this beautiful energy and feeling their intense love and going into higher levels of consciousness and seeing it as all perfect and living from this higher perspective. And then especially if it was something to do with animals or the inhumane treatment of animals, I would just come crashing back to earth and I'd find myself sobbing and just so confused and so hurt and so upset. And how could people do this? And I would be on this sort of roller coaster until I really started to live the wisdom and understand that your consciousness level is everything. And I'll give you a really good example. And It came from some conversations that one of my students or a group of my students were having with the council about animal welfare and animal well-being, and I was so focused on trying to save the animals and help the animals, and all my focus was on the animals. And what came through is this understanding that it's all about consciousness. If you want anything to change, it's the consciousness that will change it, not your anger at what you want changed, not your pain and your suffering and your struggle, but consciousness. And they went into the consciousness level someone is in when they're harming an animal or inflicting pain on an animal. And that to understand that if that person was in a level of consciousness of knowing who they are, aligned to their truth, they would choose very differently. And so while you want things to change and you want to change aspects of the human experience, the most important thing you do is elevate your own consciousness, your own vibration, because that's what you're contributing to humanity. And anything and everything that you do every day to be in the highest level of consciousness is your greatest service, especially to those things that you love. And I had an experience of this because I have horses, and my horses were at a place where there were other people who had horses there as well, and an organization that had lots of horses. And there was this one particular person, and I would get so upset at the way he treated the horses, like mad and angry. And I'm sending him like daggers of like, oh, I just want to, I'm so upset at this person. And then I would talk about how upset I was, and I would talk about the things he was doing. And I was so pissed. And I had this moment. I came into my, I was like, okay, stop, stop. I feel awful. This is terrible. I feel awful. Like, and so I did the stop it thing. 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 And I finally stopped. And the council said, what do you want? I said, I want him to be loving, and I want him to be kind, and I want him to treat them with love, and I want him to be kind to them. And they're like, so you're withholding love for him. You aren't being kind to him in your own mind, but you want him to be kind and loving. But in your own mind, you're being really mean and unkind to him.
Mm.
And I had this epiphany. I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Like, I am focused on how unkind he is, and I'm angry and I'm mad and I hate this guy, right? What you focus on, the meaning you give it, is what creates your reality. And here the council's like, if you want him to be kind and loving, be kind and loving. And I was like, oh no, 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 not to him. Like, no. You know? And I'm arguing in my head, right? And I'm like, okay, fine. So the next day, I'm like, I'm going to get in the highest level of consciousness. I'm going to be so kind in my own mind, and I'm going to be so loving in my own mind. And I'm going to send love to this person, and I'm going to see him as being kind, and I'm going to see him as being loving. And I'm not going to say anything, and I'm not going to do anything except be completely and totally responsible for my own thoughts about him being kind and loving. So this went on for a couple of days. And I get really emotional when I talk about this because it changed me.
Mm.
I started to see this person totally differently. I started to see him slow down. I started to see him actually petting the horses. I started to see him being kind. And I was just watching this all from afar. I didn't say anything to him. And then I started being kind to him. I went out of my way to say hi. I went out of my day to talk to him. I went out of my day to see him. And one day I walked away after doing that, and the counsel's like, what if you're the only person that has ever made him feel seen? What if you're the only person who he's actually felt like cared about him? And then what if he felt love for himself because of the love you feel for him? And now I see this person almost every day. He's got a light in his eye, he's got a smile on his face. People comment all the time about how this guy has changed and how great he is with the horses now. I didn't do anything to him. I didn't do that to him, but it was such a profound experience in my life when I changed my thoughts to be kind and loving. He changed. I wasn't trying to change him. I was just doing it so that I wasn't so miserable and upset all the time.
Mm.
And I really saw the power that it has. And ultimately, um, when we realize that truly people want to be seen, and maybe they can't see themselves, but if we see them and we make them feel like they matter and they know that at least you care about them, they will act more consciously. They will start to wake up and remember. And you're not doing it to try to change them, but you really do realize the power you have and the contribution you make. And it goes back to um, a very common thing, certainly not something I came up with it, but hurt people hurt people. And one of the things that was most shocking to me when I first started doing my work with the council is how many people that you would consider normal people, however, they were physically, emotionally, sexually abused as children. And it was really shocking to me when I first started doing this work that so many people don't feel loved, don't feel like anybody ever really loved them, or had these experiences that were highly emotional experiences of being either verbally abused or physically abused or sexually abused in their life. And in that moment, they made this choice that they were not lovable and they were not good and they were bad. I have a really good friend who his father was very abusive. She had several kids in the family, and the father was very abusive. And she left the house at a very young age and moved out because the father was so abusive. And on the father's deathbed, it was past transitioning. The aunt, her aunt, her dad's sister, was talking to her, and she said, I can't forgive him. And she said, I understand, it's okay. But she went on to tell my friend how her father was treated by his father, her grandfather. And the aunt said he treated the boys, meaning the boys in the family, worse than the worst thing you could ever imagine someone doing to an animal. He was completely abused from the time he was young. And she never knew that. And then all of a sudden, she had this compassion for her dad, not knowing what he had been through. And so I did a course years ago called The 11 Spiritual Roles of the Soul, which is my next book coming out in January of 2026. The 11 Spiritual Roles of the Soul. And one of those roles is the transformer. And it's probably one of the most important roles to realize if you are someone who has been in a situation, and I think in some way we all can relate to that, where you were born into a family where there may be negative patterns, unconscious patterns of abuse or addiction or negativity or failure, right? The family that's, oh, our family's never been lucky. Our family's never had any money. Our family's always had these terrible things happen, right? You didn't come here to suffer in those dynamics. You're a transformer. You came here, you chose to be born into these families, into these patterns, to awaken and to say, no more. This stops with me. And then to live awakened, conscious, loving, kind, and transform that unconscious pattern in yourself. And it's very empowering when you understand that. And I can say that, not having had those things in my life, but realizing that all the things in the human experience that you feel hurt and upset and overwhelmed by, and all these things going on out there, you're here to transform that within yourself into consciousness and love and kindness and compassion and truth. And so living fully and loving fully and being all that you are is so important because you create a pathway. And to me, I believe people say, why do we come in and forget? I actually believe that when you came in, you were fully conscious, present, aware, and you knew the realized, enlightened being that you were. We didn't forget when we came here. That's why if you're in the presence of a baby that's born or a young child, you're like, oh my gosh, it's like the most amazing thing because they know who they are. They have not forgotten who they are. We didn't come here having forgotten who we were. We learned lack and limitation and fear and separation. We learned these belief systems, not realizing it. And the most loving parent doesn't mean to pass along these fears and limitations and limited beliefs, but that's the reality they knew. They didn't realize that it came from the beliefs that came before them, right? And so sometimes you got to challenge, not in a bad way, but you've got to be responsible yourself for being in the highest state of consciousness in the moment and knowing there always is a higher perspective. There always is a path to love and peace and joy that you can choose for yourself. And you don't get to choose for any other. But we all know what it feels like to be judged, and we all know what it feels like to be loved. And I go back to the man that I used in my example, who was a great teacher, clearly, and master himself. I was judging him. And even if I wasn't doing it to his face, he felt that. The second I switched judging him to loving him, he felt that. And things changed. So you got to first do it for yourself. First for yourself. I was making myself miserable, and I wanted to not feel that way. So I first had to have kindness and love for myself and not judge myself for judging. I think that's our ultimate addiction in the human experience is judging ourselves for judging ourselves. Our own
Judge
self-judgment.
breeds more judgment.
Right, right. And then you judge yourself, and then you're judging yourself for judging yourself. Stop, just stop. Stop. Nobody else is out there judging you. The council always says, we're never judging you, ever. And I feel that. Someone could be saying something that, it doesn't matter what it is. They never judge. I never ever feel the energy of judgment from them about anyone ever for any reason. What if we could choose that for ourselves? Yeah.
Wow. I want to breathe into that because there was a lot in there. And I just want to honor you for taking us into that example, into that space of your friend down the street that you were able to, even though you said you didn't do anything to change him, you did make the conscious choice to see him in a new way. And that in itself is doing a lot, not from the regular perception of how we see doing things, because you didn't like go and fix him and change him. It was just like you decided to change your awareness. And I love that you mentioned that the council is bringing in these notions of timelines, because I believe in that example, you tuned into a different timeline where this person was a reflection of what you were putting out. Um, I would love, and if that's all right with you, just to open the space to bring through the council for her just a few questions to end this beautiful segment of a conversation. I know there's going to be a lot more to weave together,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just wanted to see if we can open that container.
Yeah, absolutely. And just one thing I want to say is I think why I channel the counselor, why I channel or why this was my path is partly because I care very much about things being practical, applicable. And while I can go to these high levels of consciousness and higher realms and play there, it's so important to me that we can live this and do live this. And it's so important to me in my courses and my master's class calls that I talk about how we live this wisdom and integrate this wisdom. And so timelines for me, when I first heard it, I got a little like, oh, that sounds a little airy fairy. You're going to have to make it really applicable. You're going to have to make it something that people can understand and apply in their life. And um, now I realize, wow, it's so true. But again, there's always in every moment a higher timeline that you can choose, which creates a new experience. And people tend to think that, how do I do that? How do I understand that? And it's really as important as slowing down and understanding. You're either focusing yourself into a lower level timeline that doesn't feel good and continuing to interact with fear and lack and limitation, or you're choosing a higher timeline and a higher perspective of something else that's possible that allows that something more that's possible to become part of your experience. And
Mm.
so I think it's really important for people to have examples and tangible proof and evidence, not because your soul needs it, but sometimes you're human, right? So I'm going to bring in the council. I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths and they will begin and then they will go to your questions. I'm aware of everything that comes through me. Like I said, I'm not going to get something up there, out there. They are a part of me. I'm tuning into that part of me that is the field of consciousness that's available to everyone. When I channel, my eyes are closed. It just helps me focus because they bring through all streams of consciousness very, very quickly, and it's often very intense. If you're not sure if you believe in channeling, that's okay. Just hear the wisdom, feel whether it aligns to you. That's okay. I understand that completely, but tune in and see how you feel. I think that's the most important thing. So here we go.
Beautiful.
We are so pleased and delighted to have the opportunity to speak with you on this fine and glorious day indeed. While our words to you are important, this is a vibrational experience of remembering the truth of who you really are, why you are here, and all that you intended when you chose this magnificent life experience, because we assure you, your life is meant to be so very good for you. It truly is the best thing going on anywhere in all of the universe to be on Earth right now during the time of the Great Awakening, the greatest transformation of human consciousness that has ever occurred in any lifetime. And it's happening rapidly, gaining even more momentum. It is here and it is now. And you and everyone who will ever listen to this has an important role in the great awakening occurring on earth at this time. It is your consciousness. It is your energy. It is your light. It is your love. And as you allow more of it, and you embody more of it, and you express more of it, you will literally see. You will see a fully awakened world where humans and animals and the earth are all thriving, living in harmony and abundance. It is a timeline you can choose right now. And we assure you, it will be your experience. However, people often get tripped up because they think they have to change everyone else in order to experience a new earth, heaven on earth, or an awakened world within their own reality. But we assure you, as you choose it for yourself, you will see people you never imagined awakening to the truth within them too. You're not responsible for awakening everyone around you. You're responsible for doing what you love and doing the things that you enjoy and consciously, intentionally creating your reality. You're responsible for allowing your own expansion. You're responsible for fully expressing yourself and living fully and loving fully. And you're responsible for choosing the experiences you want to have. But you will see how powerful you are and what an important contribution you make when you choose heaven on earth within you as your reality right here, right now. So where would you like to begin?
Thank you. You mentioned the remembrance of who we truly are. And I would love to ask you, what determines the degree to which we can remember at any given moment?
Your own level of love for yourself.
How can we
Your,
expand that love within ourselves?
well, we'll make it easy. Notice when you are doubting and denying love for yourself for any reason. Notice when you are doubting or denying love for yourself for any reason. And most all of the ways that you do this are habits that you have learned, and you unconsciously continue these habits of denying love for yourself all the time. People ask us about the dark night of the soul as part of the awakening experience, and we say the dark night of the soul lasts as long as you keep denying love for yourself. If you don't have the right amount of money in your bank account, you deny love for yourself. If you aren't in a relationship, you deny love for yourself. If you are running late, you deny love for yourself. If you didn't get something quote unquote right, you deny love for yourself. The easiest way, because pure love is the truth of who you are, is to start to notice consciously and intentionally the ways that you withhold your own self-love and love for yourself and love for others. When you start to see that you're denying love for yourself because you look in the mirror and your body should look like this and it doesn't look like this, and you deny love for yourself in this moment, and then you wonder why I can't connect to source and the divine and receive inspiration and why I feel alone. It's because you are literally focusing yourself into separation through your own judgment and denying of love for yourself. And that's why you feel so alone. But if you started to focus on what you love and do the things you love and think about all the people you love and think about what you love about them and what you love about yourself and start to focus on that, you'll see that you start to spiral up, and all of a sudden you're in this place of pure love. That's who you really are. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, a lot. And when it comes to self love, I feel that one of the biggest things that inhibits us from feeling that self love is our relationship to our body. And Sarah was mentioning how you're bringing through this notion of the magnificence of the human body. How do you see it as magnificent, and how can we begin to perceive it more in that way?
Your bodies are the greatest technology, the greatest biology on your planet at this time. You think all these other things are amazing. If you would look at your own eyes in the mirror, if you would look at your incredible, magnificent human body and all of the millions of things that are occurring in every moment for you to be here in a body and hear and see and taste and touch and smell and think and move and do and choose. There are millions and millions of incredible things happening every second that you don't have to think about, and yet some intelligence perfectly runs this system that you call your body. And even if one little thing is going on in your body, or something you might call some big thing in your body, there's still millions and millions of things that are operating perfectly. But what's getting all of your attention is the thing that's not right, or your judgment of that thing that you're saying is not right. If you start to focus on your magnificent human body, and we would even expand that to say, bringing your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul all into perfect harmony. Not one better than the other, all in perfect harmony together. We talk about the divine symphony of perfection that's playing every moment. When you bring your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul into harmony, you will start to witness the divine symphony of perfection that is you, that's flowing through you, that is always available to you, that is here for you in every moment. Do you understand?
Yes. And another notion that we were talking about earlier is this concept of our divine prosperity, and how maybe that is different to our old paradigm of wealth and accumulating money in the banks and all these other things that we've created as a species. How is that evolving as we tune into the frequency of divine prosperity?
Well, we encourage you not to push against any old system and judge it as wrong.
Mm.
It's not about any of that. It's actually about different levels of consciousness. So the third dimension is the dimension of separation. That's the basis of the third dimension. When you are lowering your consciousness and in the density of the third dimension, you have to push, you have to force, you have to struggle, you have to effort, you have to save, because if you don't save, you're going to have to go work hard. And if you get to retirement, you can't work hard and push and force and effort anymore, and you haven't saved enough, there won't be enough. It's the basis is you're not enough, there's not enough, there's never enough, there won't be enough, not enough. The fourth dimension is the dimension of transformation. You can change your circumstances, you can change your conditions, you can change, transform, heal, release. You can change your money situation. You're not your circumstances and conditions. You can change it, and you can. And that's a bit higher perspective and a bit higher level of consciousness than being in fear and lack and limitation and separation. but you're still trying to change the money problem. But you can, but you're still trying to change it. Now you might start your own business and work hard for yourself instead of working hard for someone else. The fifth dimension is the dimension of pure love. Divine prosperity only exists in the fifth dimension of pure love. It is a dimension where your well being and your abundance is assured. What you want and need show up even before you know you need it, where things come to you and it's a yes, and you live in a flow, you live in alignment, and you let the next step come to you and the next step come to you, and you open and allow and receive and realize that all of your divine prosperity is in the fifth dimension of pure love, has always been. And when you focus yourself there, it will always be there for you. And you create for the joy of creating, and you play and you have fun, and you love because you love, and you do the things that bring you joy. And there's more. There's always more. And so, to get from the fourth dimension of transformation to the fifth dimension of pure love, you have to go beyond judgment of yourself, of your circumstances, of conditions, of others. If you're looking at your financial situation and judging it as not right, that's not the fifth dimension of pure love. You'll always entangle yourself, and therefore you'll have to work hard and push and effort. Can you work hard and push and force and effort and accomplish things? Absolutely. Is that the way you intended it to be? Not at all. What's the proof and evidence of that? You work really hard and you struggle and you effort, and you're exhausted, and you get sick, and you get tired, and you get diseases, and you're frustrated, and then you're resentful. That's not the way you intended to create. You are all pioneers. You are leaders. You are trailblazers. You are way showers into the fifth dimension of pure love, where divine prosperity is here for every one of you. Money is energy. Money is energy. Money is energy. We encourage you to really think about and consciously and intentionally, without judgment, notice what your relationship is with money. Do you love it? Do you have fun together? Do you enjoy being together? Do you love you and money in this amazing relationship, doing all sorts of fun things, being the miracle for others, doing things you love, creating what you love, having fun together? When that becomes how you see your relationship with money, you'll open to the divine prosperity that is here for you. It's not about getting rid of any of the old systems. It's about your relationship with money. And oftentimes we hear people's stories and how they speak to money. Money shows up at their door to surprise them and delight them, and they go, "Oh, finally! I haven't been able to pay the bills for months. You have made my life miserable. I can't believe you show up now. Where have you been? All this time, do you know what you have put me through? Do you know the stress you have caused me?" Well, think about any other relationship. If you showed up to surprise your beloved, and that's how she spoke to you, that's how he spoke to you, you'd probably turn and walk away. Wouldn't feel good. And then people wonder why I get money, and then it just goes out the back door. I open the door to money, and then I slam the door shut in its face. What is your relationship with money? Divine prosperity is your infinite inherent birthright. You would not have chosen to come here on earth at this time knowing money was part of the experience if you didn't know there was divine prosperity here for you in every moment to do what you're inspired to do, create what you're inspired to create, to do the things that you love, and to live your life fully. Do you understand?
Will we see money the same in the fifth dimension?
You'll love it. You'll have fun with it. You'll see all the opportunities to play together and have experiences together and share and be the miracle for others and surprise others and delight others and have delicious, wonderful experiences, because money's just energy. You'll know that it's just energy, and you won't judge it any differently than the energy from the sun that brightens your day. It's energy. You'll know what it is. Does that make
Mm,
sense?
yeah. And as a
How good
final
does it
question,
feel? So, how good
go
does
ahead.
it feel when you're somewhere? For example, you're at a farmer's market or some place where people have created things they love, beautiful pieces of art, beautiful pieces of jewelry, beautiful foods that they've grown. And you walk up to their booth and you admire this beautiful thing that they have created. And you're so appreciative of it and you love it. How good does it feel to say, I so love what you have created? That's so amazing. And you have money as a form of energetic exchange for this thing that you love, so that there's this beautiful exchange that occurs. Giving and receiving are one.
Mm,
Giving and receiving are one. When you're giving, you're receiving. When you're receiving, you're giving. There's always got to be an energetic exchange. Is it possible to live in a state where you don't need money because you're so completely all aligned with the energetic exchange that must be in place to thrive? Absolutely. But there's nothing wrong with money as you're remembering the importance of an energetic exchange. Does that make sense to you?
yeah. In that example of the market, I just had recently that experience, and you notice that anything created in love makes you feel the same way. So it is an interchange, it is an exchange. And
Mm-hmm.
as a final question for you, Council, I would love to ask, as both Sarah and I are very passionate about human evolution, I wanted to ask, what are we as a collective evolving into that can no longer be reversed or stopped?
Well, the Great Awakening is well underway. There's no turning back. The You are raising consciousness such that you are summoning incredible levels of your own energy and light on Earth at this time. Beings outside of you aren't blasting energy and light to your planet. That's not how it works. Your experience of free will. It is through the raising of your own consciousness that you are summoning more of your own energy and your own light to Earth at this time. As you continue to do so, the consciousness gets to such a level that people effortlessly awaken. They instantly remember who they are. They feel the love, they know the truth. People often ask us the question about the Great Awakening or heaven on earth or a new earth, and they say, well, yeah, I really want that, but I have to leave all these people behind, these people
Mm,
that I love that aren't there. So, speaking of timelines, what if they are all in the new earth waiting for you,
mm.
waiting for you that still needs to save the world in order to be worthy to live in heaven on earth? So, we love these words. If anything triggers you, upsets you, we want you to remember this affirmation. Nothing is worth my heaven on earth. Nothing is worth my heaven on earth. Something you don't like on the news? Nothing is worth my heaven on earth. Somebody disappoints you or doesn't do what they say they're going to do? Nothing is worth my heaven on earth. You don't feel that great today and you're kind of tired, wish you had more energy? Nothing is worth my heaven on earth. Because what if? What if Everything you think you're waiting for in order to live in a fully awakened world is already in a fully awakened world waiting for you. We want to just say one more thing about this. You and your community and everyone who will listen to this, you're all natural givers. We don't talk to you about how to be in service and do more and give more and give more and give more and give more because you all give all the time. You care so much. You're so compassionate. You care so much. You're always giving. Remember that giving and receiving are one. This is a time for you to receive. Receive all that you are. Receive love, receive compassion, receive joy, receive beauty, receive abundance, receive well being, receive. We also want to say that you and your community are so loving that you really want to help. You really, really want to help. You want to reach everybody and you want to make it better and you want to change it and you want to make it better for everybody. And we understand. We do. You're not here to save a broken world. The more you focus on what's wrong and are in judgment of it, you are actually lowering your own consciousness, contracting your energy, and entangling with the third dimension, which is what you don't want more of. You are not here to rid the third dimension of lack and limitation and fear and separation. You're not here to rid the fourth dimension of needing to fix and needing to save and needing to heal. You are here to elevate yourself out of fear and lack and limitation and struggle and judgment. You aren't here to get rid of those things in the human experience. You're here to elevate yourself beyond those things in your own experience and to live in pure love and to live fully and love fully and be all of who you are. Be all that you are and live in your heaven on earth, whatever that means for you. Live in your new earth reality. Live in your fully awakened world. You are here to self-realize, to integrate every part of you into your wholeness, your completeness, and your perfection, and to live as the master that you are, thriving and flourishing and shining brightly at this time. And you will be a powerful way shower, an illuminated, enlightened, realized way shower for all who are ready and choosing to realize pure love for themselves too. Not because they need to be saved. People don't want to be changed. They want to be loved. They want to be seen. That's what the fifth dimension of pure love is all about. First, being able to see yourself and love yourself. Then it's easy to love everyone else. And as you expand your capacity to love, you realize humans are the most loving beings in all of the universe. And you are here to love each other and the animals and the earth. It's the greatest privilege in all of the universe to be on earth at this time. We thank you. We love you. We love you. We love you. And with that, we are complete.
Now I know why they call it the wisdom of the council.
Indeed, yes.
Wow.
Amazing.
So beautiful. And they mentioned nothing is worth your heaven on earth. What is your heaven on earth, Sarah?
Oh, I'm living it. I really am. I really am. Years ago when I was in the corporate world and I imagined what my perfect day would be like, or my life. I imagined waking up feeling rested and inspired and spending time in nature with my animals and doing what I love all day. And I just wanted to have conscious, amazing conversations with people I love and have a beautiful property with nature and animals. And it just seemed unattainable from where I was back then. And I'm living it now. And that's my heaven on earth. I remember saying to a friend one time after we had this incredible conversation for like 3 hours, and we're like, wow, that was 3 hours. Can you believe it? And I was like, this is what I want to do all day. I want to have conversations like this all day long. And that's what I do. And that's what you do. And it's amazing. So if it's possible for me, it's possible for everyone.
A friend asked me the other day, what does your dream day look like? And the more I thought about it, I was like, I'd be doing the podcast. Like there isn't a dream day where I wouldn't be doing this. So it's so beautiful that, we've chosen that higher timeline for ourselves to be able to even just make space. I could keep going all day. I know we
Yeah.
could,
Yeah.
we definitely have so much more to weave together with. And thank you for your presence. We end every show with a segment called the Final Trio, which are just little questions that we ask at the end. But before that, where would you send people to connect with you, with your work, all the beautiful new offerings that you're bringing to the world? Where can they find that?
You can go to saralandon.com. There's a whole section there on my books. My newest book is the 15 Success Principles for Self-Realization, which is what we talked about here. It's actually my fourth best-selling book, which is pretty exciting. So I also have You Are a Channel, The Wisdom of the Council, and a book I created with Mike Dooley called The Dream, The Journey, Eternity, and God. And those are also available at your favorite retailer, paperback, audiobook, ebook, wherever you like to buy your books. Several of them now have been translated into other languages too, which is pretty cool. Also, at my website, you'll see we have meditations, we have channeled MP3s, we have lots of different courses, we have our advanced master's class program. I tell people to just follow the energy, let the light guide the way. If something resonates with you or lights up for you, start there. You're drawing this all to you. Hearing this conversation today, you drew this to you, you channeled this to you. So it's a journey. Let yourself, start where it lights up and let it unfold. There's also a whole section of free resources there. I have my own YouTube channel, Instagram. You'll find lots of different videos on YouTube as well. So I just encourage people to follow the energy, let the light guide the way.
Beautiful. And you mentioned, this was a human conversation, but I feel like this was an activation. Like I feel really activated right now.
Yeah.
And, people can always bathe in that energy and come back to this when, they want to be activated. And,
Yeah.
Because there's things that you said today that the council brought through today that are actually shifting our consciousness in real time. So,
Yeah.
just honoring that moment and what we did today.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like to point that out to people because the council brings a lot through very quickly. From my perspective, it's this endless stream of consciousness and this incredible love that they have. And people sometimes they feel like they've fallen asleep during the council's transmissions. They feel very activated or they feel very tired afterwards. They always say, or they usually say, well, while our words are important, it's a vibrational experience. And actually, they've been saying a vibrational activation a lot more recently because I think it is. It really is. This is all here for you. You drew this all to you. It's about the energy of it. It's about the vibration. They say they're entertaining our human brains long enough that we actually let ourselves receive all the energy that is our energy, right? Let ourselves naturally go into the higher states of consciousness, which is our natural state of being, letting ourselves go into higher vibrations, which is our natural state of being. So there's nothing to do here. Just let yourself receive. Yeah.
Thank you. And for the final trio, the first two questions are personalized to the guest, and the last one we ask at the end of every show. The first one is, In all your years of transmission, teachings, and everything else that you are bringing through to the world, what's one thing that you still return to again and again as your anchor?
You are everything you wish to be. You already are.
What would a future aspect of humanity say to us if we could hear them clearly right now?
Slow down. Enjoy the beauty. Enjoy the perfect moment. Slow down. It's all in the moment.
The final question that we ask, we call it the time capsule question. And it requires us to travel a little bit out into the future, around 15 to 20 years down the line. I chose out those time frames because I believe that's going to be a time in human history when the young generations of today will be stepping more into leadership positions around the world and really being in charge of spearheading this new earth, heaven on earth that we are all co-creating. And you had the opportunity to leave behind a time capsule for these leaders that they would open in the moment that they were ready to fully lead and to step into their truth and to their teachings and to their divinity. What would you leave behind in the time capsule? It could be something physical, non-physical, a transmission, a frequency, a book, whatever your mind can conceive of in this time capsule. But what would you include there that would equip these next generation of leaders with everything that they would need to be the best version of themselves and to bring through the frequencies of the new earth?
Well, I think the most important thing is to know we all have this channel, direct connection to source, the divine, your higher self, infinite intelligence. We all have this. And I wrote in my book, You Are a Channel, that while it is my great pleasure to channel the council's wisdom and 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 the millions of people that it reaches, and it's the most incredible work, but ultimately I want my legacy to be helping all beings remember their own direct connection to source, to their soul, to their higher self, that it's always there in every moment, the highest perspective, the highest state of consciousness, the in the highest good of all, absolute knowing, and for all beings to remember their connection and to trust it and to receive it clearly and to really know that it is there for them always. It's everything. It's everything. I wanted all these different things in my life, but there was never this fulfillment or meaning that I was looking for until I found my own connection to my source, my truth, myself, my higher self. And I think that's the path for everyone, right? I had this weird experience. I've heard you ask that question before, and the council's still hanging out. So, what they showed me was in 20 years, you won't need leaders because you all will be living in a fully awakened world and you will have so much fun sharing your own heaven on earth with each other, such that your new earth experiences just continue to expand and expand and expand. It won't be so much anybody needing to lead. You will all be living in such an incredible way that what was leading will now become sharing of your amazing experiences in life and your own heaven on earth, your own masterpieces, that there will just be so much more for everyone in you each sharing your magnificence and your incredible realities that you have created. And I just, they're just showing me that like we can't even imagine We can't even imagine the level of abundance and potential and possibilities and opportunities that are going to be here for us to choose from in a very short period of time. They're like, no, way quicker than 20 years. But I appreciate that question very much. I've never heard them say that when I've heard you ask that question before. It was just kind of a neat experience.
It's like they're almost pointing to leadership evolving into embodiment, which is a
Oh,
completely different
absolutely.
frequency. So,
Absolutely.
wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I never received it in that way when I asked that question. So they're all very unique, but that one landed pretty deeply. So, Sarah, thank you so much for
Thank you.
your softness, the way that you can really precisely go into the practicality as well, bringing through this wisdom into the heart straightly. I felt it in my heart. So thank you again
Yeah.
for being here and being who you are. I appreciate it. And I look forward to many more of these.
Me too. Thank you so much. Yeah, that really went very, very deep for me. The new form of leadership is embodiment, and that is a whole different frequency. So, thank you for that. I loved every moment of this. I'm so grateful. And thank you for all that you were doing. Your love, your light is so brilliant, so magnificent. I love you, my friend, and I just appreciate this opportunity so much.
Sending you all the love as well. Thank
Thank
you.
you.